Welcome to A Love Letter to Non-Games. In this series, we'll be exploring as many non-games as possible in an attempt to catalog and possibly even develop fan bases for some of these. Now, there are plenty bad and even more silly ones, but I can't stress how actually decent or even good some of these are. But I digress, because no matter if it's good or bad, this series will always be a love letter to non-games. Now I know what you're thinking. Quick Squid, what is a non-game? Well, I'm glad you asked. A non-game is simply just a video game or video game series that has been adapted into a film, TV series, comic, or what have you. Why did I choose the title of non-game when I could just say video game adaptation? Because video game adaptation is long, doesn't roll off the tongue, and I wanted to name it something fun. The term non-game comes from the fact that it is based off of a game, but it is not quite a game, therefore, a non-game. Now that that is out of the way, let's talk about Mario. And his bros. Everyone knows Mario. You, your mom, your pop, heck, maybe even your Grammy and Grampy. So this plumber should need no introduction. But I'll give it anyway. Mario, yes, that's his full name for those of you who don't know, is a plumber who first made his debut in the arcade game titled Mario Bros., where he fights creatures in the sewers of New York City with his brother Luigi Mario. At some point in time, he and his brother Luigi must have taken a wrong turn in the pipes and got sent to the Mushroom Kingdom instead, because that'll be the location for the game with his claim to fame, Super Mario Bros., where the bros are tasked with traveling through 8 worlds to save 7 mushroom-headed freaks and Princess Toadstool, who is otherwise known as Peach. This eventually spiraled into a massively popular video game series about a middle-aged man who lives with his brother and eats questionable flora and fungi to stop a giant magic turtle from stealing a woman who really likes baking cakes. Now, a few of you may be thinking to yourself, well, actually, Mario's debut was in the original Donkey Kong arcade machine. But you would be wrong, since that is an entirely different person who lives as a carpenter and is assumedly a very successful one since he has a pet gorilla, so a job change isn't a very sound argument. But I digress. On to the subject of the video. Super Mario Bros., The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach, is a film that pretty much has the same premise as the first Super Mario Bros. Game. That is, to save Princess Peach from Koopa, who's trying to marry her. I have known about this film for a long time now and have wanted to watch it for a while, but never made the time to because I don't usually watch films by myself. Once I decided to review non-games, though, I knew this would be a great series introduction and decided to finally give it a shot. Now, before I start the overview, I will say that there will be spoilers, duh, so if you plan on watching the film, then just skip to the review, which won't have spoilers. Or don't. I can't control you. Our story opens with Mario, who's busy playing some game on his Famicom that I would assume he's a god at based on what is happening on screen. Luigi then comes into view to bid Mario goodnight while wearing the most comfy getup of his entire life. Immediately after this, Mario gets dizzy as his game suddenly shuts off and turns into a video of a woman trying to escape some strange creatures. As Mario stands up to get a closer look at the TV in front of him, the woman comes barreling out of the screen and crashes into Mario. Before Mario can get a grasp on this situation, his home gets invaded by those same creatures who were chasing her before. The creatures then leave because Mario asks nicely, and Mario is finally able to identify the woman as Princess Peach. Before they get too acquainted, however, King Koopa appears over TV static and it's revealed that those creatures from before were his minions. He then comes out of the TV, licking his lips, as he pushes Mario into the ground with a finger tap and steals Princess Peach into the TV. Mario exclaims to Luigi that Peach has been kidnapped by King Koopa, and he has to save her, to which Luigi replies by blatantly laughing at his brother's Schizo episode before going back to bed. Mario finds Peach's necklace on the ground and starts to reminisce about her as the opening song starts to play. After the banger of an opening, the scene changes to the Mario Bros. Grocer, where Mario is deep in thought about Peach as an old lady asks him for cake ingredients. Mario proceeds to get all of the wrong ingredients, and that makes the old lady irrationally angry to the point where she leaves without even getting her groceries. Luigi notices Peach's necklace in Mario's hands and proposes that they use it to find a mystical land of treasures. Not knowing where to start, however, Mario calls what I presume is the Mushroom Kingdom, who says that they'll send a messenger to pick him up. As his call ends, the most annoying dog of all time comes through the door and mauls Mario because they don't carry dog food at their grocer. Seriously, watch this clip.
うちにはドッグフードはないよ。
The dog steals the necklace, and the brothers make chase to get it back. This leads them down a pipe which transports them to the Mushroom Kingdom, where they're greeted by a strange old man. The bros proceed to do a shmoney dance when realizing that the Mushroom Kingdom is the land of treasure. The old man then gives all of the exposition, which basically boils down to Koopa plans to marry Peach in a couple days, find the mushroom, flower, and star items if you want to stop him. The Mario Bros then set off with a strange dog thing named Kibidango, who is assumedly named after the soft mochi treat of the same name, to get the items and rescue Princess Peach while also getting a little bit of that cheddar along the way. I'm just going to note here that between all of the action scenes, that is the exposition, all three items, and Koopa's castle, there are musical segments that hold no plot relevance and primarily serve as filler. They're neat, but not very important. Moving on. After this music scene, the brothers find themselves turning in for the night around a campfire before some Goombas lead Luigi away with promises of food. Mario then wakes up and finds Luigi in a field of mushrooms, assumedly drugged by the Goombas. While Mario tries to solve this issue, a giant Paracoopa grabs him and takes him away to be fed to her chicks. Before being eaten alive, Mario instead drugs the chicks, which causes them to accept him as one of them. The mother Paracoopa then brings Luigi and Kibidango to the chicks, who Mario decides to eat alive. Luigi, being so upset that his brother would try to eat him, attempts to commit suicide, but realizes the beauty of life and decides to continue on living. This prompts Mario to look at the mountain, where he finds the Mushroom of Truth, completely unguarded. After pulling the mushroom from the mountain, coins spew out and Mario falls, which causes Luigi and Kibidango to fall. Once on the ground, the coins magically transform into toads, who are apparently all girls, and the brothers move on their way. After another music scene where they display the power of the mushroom, the bros stop at a very goofy-looking sign before deciding where to go. With the help of the Goombas, the bros decide to take the flower path in hopes of finding the flower item, but who could have guessed, the flowers were actually deadly piranha plants. Oh no! The bros and dog creature escape the piranha plants by tangling them up, and thus curdling and killing them. This makes Lakitu upset, which prompts it to start throwing spiny eggs at the bros. The bros swiftly dodge these, however, and mock the Lakitu for sucking at life. Lakitu, not taking kindly to these words, awakens the Spinies, who then start to chase the brothers down. When all hope seems lost, though, the mystical vine of Deus Ex Machina allows Mario to fly up to the Lakitu and steal his cloud, which allows him to make the Spinies dormant once more. As Mario regroups with the gang, flowers magically appear around them, which is followed by another toad who gives Mario the flower, then gives him a little kiss, much to the Goomba's dismay. After my favorite music scene, which displays not only the Fire Flower's capabilities, but the Mario-branded Cup Ramen, which is said to be delicious, the bros find themselves at a cave that is mysteriously spewing out gold coins. Despite Kibidango's warnings in the form of awful barks, the bros are still caught in an inescapable prison for the foreseeable future. We then cut to a scene where Peach is gaslighting Koopa into transforming into whatever she wants, but here's the thing, she's double gaslighting as she's saying words that don't even exist. She eventually gets him to transform into something small so she can lock him away in a box, but he busts out and tells her to watch her MF tone as he describes to her that Mario is in prison. Mario then starts fantasizing about falling in love with the woman he's met once prior, as Luigi actually does something productive by digging a way out of the prison. While digging around the cell, Luigi found the star, but dumps it into the ocean without realizing, so now the bros have to get it back by diving into the soup. Mario and Kibidango find the star in a clam's mouth, but the clam doesn't want them to enter, so they disguise themselves as a rock star ballerina duo to trick the clam, as anyone sensible would. With the star in their possession, the gang finds a sunken ship which starts to magically fly because of the boundless lung capacities that the group shares. Over at Koopa's castle, the wedding ritual is underway as Peach continues to be nothing but aggressive with her captors, which doesn't sound like an amazing strategy to me, but I've never been captured, so who am I to judge? As Peach is about to say her vows, however, the gang arrives in their brutally beaten up boat, which crumbles as they fall onto the castle. Startled by this, Koopa decides to continue the marriage in the secret room instead of nipping the problem at the bud. As Mario follows Koopa through a hole in the wall, Luigi splits off to find treasure and continues to not care about Peach in the slightest, which is a plot point that I personally appreciate. Mario, continuing on through Koopa's inefficiently designed castle, is stopped by a massive pit of fire, which Luigi immediately extinguishes by accidentally flooding Koopa's castle, which proceeds to demolish the entire thing. Now that Mario and Koopa finally meet face to face once again, Mario starts to overdose on the items he's collected along the way, but stops because a bowl of rice and Mario branded rice seasoning, which is also said to be delicious, magically appears in front of him. While eating this rice, Mario loses the star and all hope seems lost. Until Luigi, otherwise known as the Goat, finds the star and assists his brother in his overdose. Koopa stomps on Mario once and for all, but a fully powered up Mario is able to push him back and start beating his booty. After throwing Koopa into the sky, Mario 64 style, Mario loses the power of the items, and Koopa's castle turns into a flower field. Mario takes the opportunity to finally return Peach's necklace to her, and she tells him of the prophecy that a handsome prince wearing the same necklace will come to wed her someday. Mario tells her that he will defend her until that day comes, but suddenly, Kibidango transforms into a human and cucks Mario. That's right, Mario gets cucked by a dog. Thing. Mario, sickened by his own beta energy, decides to leave the Mushroom Kingdom, vowing to return if the kingdom is ever in trouble again. The credits roll, but in typical movie fashion, there is a post-credits scene that builds upon the series' lore. What is said lore, might you ask? Well, it appears that the brothers hired Koopa and his Troopas to work for their grocer, an undeniably poor business decision, but again, who am I to judge? On to the review. The story was fine. Not much story-wise happened, in all honesty. It was pretty much the bare minimum of what they had to do. What was going on wasn't bad, but it was pretty much just the basic hero's journey with a Mario twist. That and the plot was a little jumpy with its presentation. What I mean is that the scenes would suddenly end, and as if they couldn't think of any plot points to fill in the gaps, they just added the music segments and said, good enough. This wasn't a bad way of connecting the scenes, but it could have been done a lot better in a more creative way. As for the comedic value, the jokes weren't bad. Could they have been funnier? Yeah, definitely. But there were a few chuckle-worthy bits scattered throughout the film, just not as many as intended. The film was made for kids in the 80s though, so I'll cut them some slack here. Overall, this film was about as good as they were shooting for. That is, a passable animation that would get kids to buy their product, which makes me want to give it 7 mystery boxes out of 10. As I said, it's passable and worth the watch if you have a free hour, but not good enough to make time for it. Now, it may seem like that's all she wrote, and it is for the main review. But while searching for this film, I found a few short animations that don't quite deserve their own videos, so I'm just gonna tack them on here. The first of which being a 3-episode anime series based off of 3 separate fairy tales, respectively. This series being called Amada Anime Series Super Mario Bros. The first episode, based on the Japanese Momotaro, starts with Peach chilling with her grandparents until Koopa comes along and kidnaps her, then imprisons her until she agrees to marry him. As Peach's grandparents grieve her kidnapping, a peach fruit falls from the sky and gives birth to Mario. The grandparents raise Mario, and when he's old enough, he sets out on a journey to find Peach. Along the journey, he's joined by a Parabuzzy, a Boomerang Bro, and a Spike who help him get to Koopa's city, where they beat and tie up the Koopa kids and Koopa himself. After saving the day, Mario steals all of Koopa's stolen treasure, and rather than giving it back to its owners, he keeps it and heads home with Peach. Episode 2 is based on Isun Boshi, or as English speakers call it, Tom Thumb. The story starts with a childless couple receiving a very small child from the sky. This child, Mario, is unable to grow taller than 1 inch. Despite this, he wishes to explore the world around him and thus goes to the city where he meets Peach. Peach, taking intrigue in Mario, decides to let him live with her, and they start doing everything together. One day, Koopa starts bothering Peach, so Mario white knights her by giving Koopa severe internal bleeding. Then the gods, in fear of Mario's power, give him the ability to make a single wish, that wish being to make him grow so he can be the same size as Peach. Episode 3 is based on Snow White. In this one, Koopa's a queen who thinks she's the most beautiful. One day, when she asks her mirror who the fairest is, the mirror replies, Peach, which gets her super angry and makes her send all of her children as assassins. Before Peach is killed, however, Mario steps in and saves her, then kidnaps her into the forest and makes her live with 7 toads. Koopa, who's apparently a big Lady Gaga fan, asks the mirror who the fairest is, and it still says Peach, but also doxes her, which allows Koopa to find her and poison her while the toads are out working. Koopa then flies away like Superman as the toads arrive and introduce themselves to literally no one before discovering Peach's corpse. The toads then manage a cry so loud that Mario hears them from who knows where, which causes him to find them. Luckily, Mario lets Peach drink his Super Goddess potion, which revives her. After Peach comes back to life, they all storm Koopa's castle without a plan, and Mario is caught up in some trouble. He then absorbs the toads, which allows him to kill the Koopalings, but Peach gets captured by Koopa in the process. While Mario isn't able to do anything, Luigi comes out of nowhere and kills Koopa. The end. Review time. While not objectively awful, these just weren't good, and there are way better ways to consume all of these stories. One of which being the original stories themselves. Overall, 4 mystery boxes out of 10. Now that we've covered the Amada series, let's move on to Super Mario's Fire Brigade. It starts with a brother and sister both sucking at Mario 3, unlike Mario himself, who's good with the sauce. The sister, Kaoru, steals fireworks from the cupboard and brings her brother along to light them at the junkyard. The fireworks happen to light trash on fire, but luckily Mario and Luigi, who are off-duty firefighters, were nearby to stop the fire. The brothers then school the duo on fire safety and explain the premise of Fire Force before sending them home. Once home, the duo's dad comes home drunk and smokes a cigarette. A sudden earthquake causes the lit cigarette to almost catch the carpet on fire, but the kids put it out, then scold their dad about his irresponsibility. After the family settles their problems, they notice a fire across the way and call the fire department, who saves the family that was trapped. The kids then learn their lesson, and all's right with the world. It's honestly hard to rate this one since it's more for pushing an agenda than telling a story, but I think they conveyed the message rather well here. The message was nice, it was short and sweet, and those fire demons would have horrified me as a kid. I can't recommend it to anyone that knows fire safety, but if you have a kid that can read and also likes Mario, this may be the video for them. 8 mystery boxes out of 10. Now that the lightning round is over with, we're actually done. I did enjoy making this video and plan on making a series out of this, but don't expect too many uploads. I don't want to force myself, so I'm only going to make these videos when I want to. Comment below for any non-game recommendations you may have, and with that in mind, I'm getting a little tired, and I think I might drink a warm glass of milk and hit the hay. Now if you'll excuse me.